to Mr. Randy's Wine and Spirits. I am Mr. Randy. Today we're going to be talking about a whiskey, not a bourbon, an American Kentucky Straight Rye whiskey. Now this is the Woodford Reserve Kentucky Straight Rye whiskey. It is only a 375 milliliter because Mr. Randy is still questionable about whether or not he likes rye, so I didn't want to get a whole bottle and then end up wasting it all. But seeing how far I've got, there's a caveat to that. We'll get to that in just a moment. Go ahead and finish it off with, this is a batch label 85, bottle number 3168. I guess it's 3,168th bottle of the 375s. It does come in at 90.4 proof, which is 45.2%. Not a whole lot, just all your legal mumbo jumbo. So the caveat is, yes, it is a 375 milliliter. It's a lot quicker to drink the bottle down that way. Also, I had to do some experimenting. I had to try this with some soda. Had to try it with some ginger ale. Try it on the rocks. Try to water it down a little bit. Now, yes, it is only 90 proof, but it is a rye. Sometimes the rye itself can give you a little bit more of a spikier punch than a typical bourbon. So, Mr. Randy did pay just about $22 out the door for this. It is a 375, and the full 750, I believe, is 32-ish. But let's go ahead, get a pour on it. So, how did the experimenting go with the other types of mixing? Well, I did mix this with Dr. Pepper Cherry Zero, and it did come out relatively nice. It came out kind of odd with the ginger ale, but I usually like to drink the ginger ale with the scotch. It does mix a little bit better with the scotch. So, using Mr. Randy's handy dandy color scale, we're going to try and get a color on this. No matter which angle of light I get, it still looks like it comes into about a copper or auburn tawny. I do believe I read somewhere that that is the color that they officially gave this. On the nose, it smells really nice. Lots of spice and cinnamon, sweetness. It actually is a very nice nose. It's a very, very nice nose. It kind of tricks you. I mean, if you're a connoisseur of both bourbons and ryes, you can pick up a bit of the subtlety. The rye has a little bit of that spiky, sweet end on the nose, and then the bourbon has a little bit of that sort of, I don't want to say bland, but it's sort of a bottom on the opposite end, sort of a dry because of the oak and the barrels. Let's go ahead and get on the palate. It does have a very unsatisfying drying effect, unless that's your thing. It's not Mr. Randy's jam. However, there's a bunch of confusion going on the palate because, yes, there is that dryness, and it just streaks all the way from the front to the back and dries out everything. But at the same time, it does allow a lot of that nice sweetness to sort of move in right behind it. It is very nice, but it's that drying effect is really shining me off of this. Let's go ahead and get a finish on this. That is not too bad of a finish on the rye. Again, it's got that whole mouth, like it just like dries it out. It's that drying effect. There's a lot of great things in this whiskey, and it's had time enough, you know, as it got down to right about here, I kind of slowed down. I wanted to let it sit and sort of air out a little bit and sort of, you know, open up a little bit more. And I do think it helped. Not a whole lot, but I do think it helped. So the finish is nice. The palate is a bit confusing. Not bad, but not exactly great. So the nose and the finish do kind of outweigh the palate. So let's get a score on this, shall we? It is a Woodford Reserve. Good quality stuff comes from them. Not great, but good. It was $22 for a $3.75. That's a little high, but again, you can get the $7.50 standard for just about $10 to $12 more. I think it's roughly about $35. Considering that I don't like rye, I think this is a second good rye that I've had. I think the first, I'm still going to have crown the still Austin rye. I think that's still my, but then again, I think that was like one rye that I tried in the first 30-something bottles of bourbons and whiskeys. I'm gonna give it a solid 3 out of 5. I think it's earning. I think it's good right there where it's at, right there in the middle. Nothing too good, nothing too bad, but there's good. There's plenty of good in this. So my fair price. So let's go with the pricing for the 750 milliliters, which would be, like I said, $35. I think probably $30 to $35 will be just fine for this bottle. And that would be the 750 again. Would I buy this again? No, because simply there are so many bottles out there, and every time I go and I get one, I go to the store, I want to get something new. I want to try something new. I want to see what is comparable. I'm always interested in that new. So, no, I wouldn't buy this again. If it was like on a very discounted price, so insane that you just couldn't pass it up, most likely probably would grab one. Just so that I have one, and if somebody wanted a pretty decent enough rye, this would probably foot the bill. So let us know what you think in the comments about this Woodford Reserve Straight Kentucky Rye. And as always, thanks for stopping by here at Mr. Randy's Wine and Spirits. I am Mr. Randy. You have a good one.